Hey, I'm Jim Barry. Welcome to another episode of Miami Life, the show that takes a close look at what's going on here in South Florida, the people making things happen, and the issues that are top of mind here in Miami-Dade and Broward counties. Today, we start talking about the state of Florida's push to eliminate vaccine mandates. Now, this proposal still faces a very uncertain future. It's also unclear how many vaccines would be part of this plan without legislative action.
Every last one of them is wrong and drips with disdain and slavery.
Almost immediately after Florida Surgeon General Joseph Ladapo announced the state would move to drop all childhood vaccine mandates, the backlash began. State Democrats slammed Ladapo for embracing anti-vax sentiment.
And this is the climax. This is the ultimate of what they were trying to get to. Every conspiracy theory, every quack idea he's had is to get rid of all vaccines. And he actually said, why would you listen to a doctor about what you put in your body? And so then what's the point of doctors? And why take an antibiotic? How is anyone ever going to get saved if they don't listen to a doctor? It doesn't make any.
Despite the backlash, Governor Ron DeSantis supported the call to end mandates.
And then I know the Surgeon General feels strongly about any mandates for there. And like I said, I've always been against mandates.
But the backlash over the announcement continues to build. Some vaccine experts say dropping mandates could make Florida vulnerable to outbreaks of certain diseases. Also, it would take action by state lawmakers to remove mandates for certain vaccines.
I think that people should get it if they want to. It should be an option.
7 vaccinations are right now required for children attending schools or daycares. And Florida state colleges and universities all have vaccine mandates. Students at FIU's West Miami-Dade campus say those policies make sense because they protect everyone.
If I knew that my classmates and that people I hang around with were vaccinated and were protected against things like measles, polio, any other sickness that can be transmitted, I would feel a lot safer.
Others worry the state's new stance on vaccines will make it harder for those who want to get inoculated to get the shots.
When you remove state requirements, that doesn't necessarily erase coverage rules overnight. What the insurance companies will do, it's hard to know. Even if insurers technically continue coverage, removing school requirements signals that vaccines aren't essential. That creates confusion, it weakens the expectation of full coverage, and it risks leaving the most vulnerable children without the protection they deserve.
But there is still great concern over what this could mean for the community, and particularly students in South Florida's public schools. And we talk about this in great detail with our guest, Miami-Dade School Board member, Dr. Steve Gallen.
The Florida Department of Health, in partnership with the governor, is going to be working to end all vaccine mandates in Florida law. All of them. All of them. All of them. Every last one of them.
What was your first reaction when you saw this?
Totally devastated. I was totally shocked. We're talking about something that has been a long-standing policy position, not only in the state of Florida, but we've had vaccinations for school-aged children for over 2 centuries, dating back to 1855. But in the United States, we're talking about 45 years of vaccination requirements across all 50 states.
There's been some pushback. Even some Republicans are saying maybe this is a bridge too far.
President Trump actually thought that that was something that needs to be examined. He seemed to have distanced himself from that, which was ironic. And along with Senator Rick Scott, they recognize that the elimination of vaccinations for school-aged children may be something that's headed in the wrong direction.
What would be the risk for a vaccinated child to be in a classroom with an unvaccinated student?
They'll be exposed. We are hearing the narrative, Jim, which talks about freedom, parental rights, and I've said historically, even since the COVID times, that parental rights cuts both ways. So parents have a right to make sure that their children who are vaccinated are safe. So I think the exposure for children who are not vaccinated being placed in classroom settings with children exposes all of the children. So we do have a right, and there's precedent in this country for making sure that that freedom. Parents have a right to make sure that their children are protected in our schools and our classrooms. So they will be exposed.
Is your concern particularly acute for younger children, elementary school age children?
Yes, elementary children are more vulnerable than others, but we also know that this is not restricted restricted, Jim, to what happens or the vulnerability in schools and in classrooms. Children who are not vaccinated pose a risk to the elderly, to individuals at home, in the community, who may have some health risks and exposure. So it's not just children in schools that this can pose a risk to. This can be a community concern, a community risk as relates to the health and safety of our children and our residents.
Have teachers raised concern about this? Because after all, they also are in the classroom with students.
Absolutely. There's been a lot of discussion around the students, but my position has been that vaccination not only protects the children in the classrooms, it protects the faculty and staff that works with the children each and every day, from the cafeteria worker to the bus driver to the custodian, and absolutely to the teacher. And when you're talking about younger children, whether it's preschool, kindergarten, first grade, teachers are very hands-on with those students, and that again provides an additional level of concern and risk, and they've expressed that very vocally, not only in Miami-Dade but across the country as well.
Are you saying then to a parent who just does not believe in vaccinations that their kids are not welcome in public schools?
No, absolutely not. The state of Florida currently has provisions for exemption for medical reasons or for religious reasons. So the notion that parents who don't want their children vaccinated do not have an option, that is factually inaccurate. The current state position, current law, provides an opportunity for parents who want to exercise that exemption. And in Miami-Dade County Public Schools, parents have done that. Over the past 2 years, just a little over 7,000 parents have exercised that exemption. Believe it or not, this year that has gone down to less than 2%. Just a little over 5,000 parents have exercised that exemption. So parents who have some concerns have an outlet pursuant to law and can exercise that. But to issue a blanket position, I think, is very risky, and it exposes our children, our faculty, our staff, and as I indicated, our community members.
Gallen also took issue with the Florida Surgeon General's criticism of COVID-19 vaccines.
The Surgeon General, when he was speaking about the COVID vaccine, he called it poison. What was your reaction when you heard him say that?
It's not consistent with science. I think what we've gotten into this discourse, regretfully, is where we look at immunization and we make an analogy with immunization and ideology. Ideology has no place in a conversation about immunization.
What do you mean?
Ideology, what people believe, what they feel, it's about science. This is not about speculation. This is not about assumption. This is about what the science and the data reflect. And science and data reflect that vaccinations, immunizations save lives.
He also notes that the final say on eliminating state vaccine mandates does not belong to the governor, but to the Florida legislature.
What kind of pushback, if any, will there be from the Miami-Dade School Board?
We're going to obviously take some direction as relates to what the state decides, but there's a lot of game to be played. This is not something that is subject purely to an executive decision. I know that it caused a lot of rancor, a lot of cacophony, a lot of concern, a lot of angst. It caught a lot of headlines, but this is a function and a responsibility of the state legislature because this is a function of law. So we trust and we want that process to take its course. Obviously, we will be advocating for those positions that are consistent with the safety, health, and welfare of our children. And we trust that our Dade delegation will lead the way in that particular discussion, and that the parents and community stakeholders who have a say in our democratic process will weigh in heavily on this particular issue, because it's an issue contiguous and should be of concern to every stakeholder in this community and, quite frankly, throughout the state.
And do you think the Florida legislature will get behind the governor and the Surgeon General on this or not?
I don't want to speculate on what position they'll take, but obviously hearing from President Trump, hearing from our own Senator Scott, there is concern regarding this particular issue, and that concern does not appear to be partisan. Even though we have obviously a strong Republican presence in Tallahassee, this is an issue that should not be made a partisan issue. This should not be subject to ideology. It should be subject to science. It should be subject to safety. It should be subject to health. And we want to implore our Dade delegation, our constituents, and our elected officials across the state to have that conversation and let the medical experts weigh in on this particular issue, as we've done in the United States for over 2 centuries, and as we've done in this country for 45 years since 1981.
Then there's the matter of what removing vaccine mandates could do to Miami-Dade's already declining public school enrollment and teacher shortage.
Are you concerned about that something like this could have a further detrimental effect on the the future of Miami-Dade Public Schools.
Absolutely, and I don't think it only casts a negative aspersion on Miami-Dade County Public Schools and what we're trying to do. I think the state of Florida, being the first in the country to make such an announcement and totally deviate what has been in place, again, Jim, since 1981. For 45 years, vaccinations have been required throughout this country. So to be the first in that particular arena is of concern. Obviously, it's inconsistent with science. And when you look at what the state of Florida voters think and what the residents think, over 80% support required vaccinations for children. Over 80% in the state of Florida. And guess what? Over 80% across the country in a recent poll. So this is something that is widely supported in Florida and across the nation. But again, for those teachers who are risking their lives each and every day in the classroom, this can only exacerbate that particular issue, because this is something that can pose a health risk and can risk lives.
And up next on Miami Life, is this the future of education? Smaller schools with personalized lesson plans are growing in popularity throughout South Florida. We'll take a closer look at micro schools when we come back. Welcome back to Miami Life. Could artificial intelligence be a matchmaker for online daters? Developers behind an app created here in South Florida say the answer to that is yes. Austin Carter takes a closer look.
Taylor Swift may have her love story getting engaged this summer, and it may be a subtle reminder for those who still haven't found the one. And it doesn't help that the dating scene in South Florida doesn't have the best reputation. 29-year-old Leslie Reyes knows the struggle. She moved to Miami this year and has tried just about all the popular dating apps to find a man, but keeps hitting a wall. Now she's finding authentic matches on Alo. Developed in Miami, Alo is using artificial intelligence to help people find a real connection. Meet Alo founder matchmaker Halea Gianni. She says the app uses AI to help build an intentional profile using an initial assessment that's crafted with 2 decades of relationship expertise. It's a combination, Halea says, is missing from other apps. Also, Alo users can only match with someone they have at least 70% compatibility with. In fact, you won't even see profiles that don't reach that threshold, and this is in categories like magnetism or attraction, shared thoughts or experiences, and lifestyle preferences. AI is making its way into many dating apps one way or another. For example, Tinder uses AI-powered matching to find connections, and Bumble uses it to suggest photos that could work well on your profile. This comes during a dating app burnout. Our network partners finding millennials, the first to jump on dating apps, are also the first to get off them. And Gen Z uses the apps even less. Despite the data, Leslie is keeping her hopes high with Alo that it will lead her to the right one.
Now, the app is planning to expand to New York City and Los Angeles right now. It hopes to be nationwide by the end of the year. And by the way, in case you're wondering, the app is bilingual, which of course is obviously a key here in South Florida. Well, as more parents look for a personalized education for their kids, a new kind of school is gaining popularity. It is called a micro school, a smaller learning center that offers more hands-on teaching than traditional schools. Could this be the future of education? Erika Gonzalez takes a closer look.
In this quiet office building tucked into this Kendall neighborhood, you'll find what some say is the future of education.
It's an amazing option for your child. Your child's gonna feel good.
Primer is a micro school. The educational concept is oftentimes known for being a blend between a private school and homeschooling, with fewer students than traditional schools. A lot fewer. The average micro school in the U.S. is 22 students. The more intimate setting was the answer Jennifer Puig was desperately searching for after her 9-year-old daughter struggled for years at a public school elementary.
Every morning my stomach hurts, or I have a headache, or, physically when we would get to the school, she wouldn't want to go in.
This is her daughter's second year now at Primer.
More hands-on. The communication with the parents is great.
Microschools typically offer a flexible curriculum and teachers who can tailor lessons to each child.
I believe in the power of small group, and that our students, they might be second graders, but they might be working on a first grade level in reading, and that's okay.
Sarah Kern joined after spending the last 2 decades in public education and was looking for a change. Primer gives its teachers stock in the company, and there's another perk that sold Kern's: no state assessments.
We don't have that pressure of testing. We do have an accountability piece built in, but I don't have the weight of I need to have them on grade level by the end of the year.
The K-8 school has 97 students at this campus with 8 full-time employees, some teachers, others assistants. Primer now has 10 schools in Florida with plans to add 4 more by next school year. And national experts say what's happening in South Florida is part of a much bigger trend that took off during the pandemic shutdowns.
And so many of us as parents came to reevaluate the relationships that we had with the institutions that we had historically relied upon to meet our family's education needs.
Research shows between 1 to 2 million students attend microschools full-time and many more part-time. And for Puig and her daughter, it's the choice they intend to stick with.
I know she's happy where she's at, and she's learning, and she's thriving.
Tuition for Primer is $14,000. They do accept the state scholarships and say they will work with families who can't afford the tuition. Erika Gonzalez, CBS News, Miami.
Erika, thank you so much. And you can wake up with Erika and the entire CBS Miami morning team every weekday morning. They got you covered with news, weather, and traffic info that you need to know on CBS News Miami mornings beginning at 5 a.m. And still to come, tattoos and skin cancer. We'll explain why the ink on your skin could distract from potential skin cancer warning signs. Welcome back to Miami Life. Now to the growing concern about tattoos and skin cancer. Nearly a third of all Americans have at least one tattoo, and that means that skin cancer could be more of a threat than you might realize. In fact, a Danish study published this year suggests an increased risk for people with tattoos, especially large ones. Lauren Pastrana explains why and what you can do to stay safe.
Gabino Perez knows a lot about the damage the South Florida sun can do to your skin.
The word cancer just brings fear in anybody.
At 59, he was diagnosed with melanoma after noticing a spot on his face that would not go away.
When you think, oh, you got cancer, oof, that was like a brick in my head.
It's a diagnosis his close-knit family took hard.
When I told my sisters, they screamed, "Rah, take care of yourself," because you know what happened to mom and dad. I know it's a different type of cancer, because it's not, I don't know if it will kill you or not, but definitely, you got to protect yourself. You got to take care of yourself more.
The melanoma is gone, and he's now getting regular skin checks to make sure it doesn't return. That includes protecting and watching his arm and other places where his tattoos may be hiding something else under his skin.
Like I hear, I see a difference. I can tell whatever will happen here, but I don't know deep inside here what's going on.
A 2020 study in the medical journal JAMA Dermatology found melanomas in tattooed skin are often diagnosed at a later stage, making them more dangerous.
We know that tattoos can camouflage the appearance of moles and make the examination of them more difficult, meaning we're not able to assess the borders and colors as easily during your skin exam. So that alone makes it more challenging and at higher risk of missing a skin cancer.
Dr. Jennifer Tang is a dermatologist and cutaneous malignancies group co-leader at Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center. She told us not a lot is known about the connection between tattoos and skin cancer. But the larger it is may mean there's more cause for concern.
There are some reports in the literature that state that the size of the tattoo can impact the risk. People who had tattoos greater than the palm of their hand, there was some association that had higher risk of skin cancer and even lymphoma.
And that's what has Perez making sure he's paying even closer attention to what's on his skin.
I know how to wear sun protector, which I do. I wear my face in my arm because that's the most exposed part that anybody has.
Lauren, thank you so very much. And by the way, we should note the doctor says people with tattoos do not need to be screened more than anybody else, but if there's a family history or symptoms, well, then you should see a dermatologist right away. She also says if you're considering a tattoo, it should never be placed over an existing mole. And we'll be right back. And next week on Miami Life, we're going to introduce you to Hialeah's viral veterinarian. At Forever Friends Animal Hospital, the patients get first-rate care thanks to Dr. Barry Goldberg, who has been treating pets now for half a century. And he's an online sensation, too, thanks to his clever social media videos. At an age where many people would be hanging up their lab coat, Goldberg cannot stop working because it's his passion. We'll pay a visit to the vet next week on Miami Life. But in the meantime, that does for this week's episode of Miami Life. Don't forget, we'll see you every Thursday for new episodes of Miami Life at 6:30 on our stream. You can also watch all Miami Life episodes on demand on our YouTube channel. I'm Jim Berry. Thanks so much for checking us out. Hope to see you soon.